here. One question that came up from the group about key factors is, did any of the companies talk about driving down labor costs by utilizing remote work? I'm sure that must have come up in some of your sessions. Anyone?
I think that's probably always in the back of people's heads. I mean, I do think there's I was just talking to one of our retired professors, Lee Dyer, about this when we're out together the other night. And there's definitely a notion of this idea of gigging more work now, that we've seen how much work can get done remotely, and even thinking about how much work can get chunked up into projects versus what's actually full-time jobs today. And so I think there's from an employee side, there's a risk of a lot of work getting gigged versus being full-time employees. And I think companies are going to rethink a lot of work given how much work can get done remotely. So I think there's definitely a long-term strategies here in terms of rethinking the work that gets done in our organizations and what has to be done by full-time employees versus gig employees versus shopped out to others. Now that we know that some of this work can get done remotely.
I think just to build on Chris' comments, I think the other cost-saving piece is potentially around real estate. Again, in the working group that I did, I asked companies what do they expect their real estate footprints to look like kind of post-pandemic, and again across the board, everyone expected some degree of reduction, right? For some, it was maybe just a few percentage. Others, it was upwards of 10-20% reduction in their kind of physical office space. So I think as companies look at leveraging these hybrid work arrangements or remote work arrangements, I think that's the other place where they're maybe looking to reap some cost benefits.
So in my conversations,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, in my conversations, we didn't explicitly talk about reducing labor costs, but some people did talk about thinking about different flexible work arrangements as possibly a differentiating feature, which we could follow that logic to think, well, maybe I'd trade off pay for a more flexible work arrangement, which has always been the case. But to the extent that organizations are thinking about doing this kind of more strategically as more of a branding effort, in the long run, it could have labor cost implications as well.